Now, for more on this, let's bring in Ruth Wasserman Lande. She's an Israeli parliament member in the Blue and White Party and co-chair of the Abraham Accords' Parliamentary Caucus. She joins us live from Jerusalem. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's begin. So what can you tell us about the latest, about this announcement about Michael Biton, his office saying that he's going to stop voting for a majority of the coalition's agenda?
So Michael Biton is really trying to represent the socioeconomically weak, particularly in Israel's periphery. The Minister of Transportation has created and published her wish to put forward a kind of a reform dealing with transportation. The problem being that transportation in the periphery would rise by approximately 130%. And the fight that Michael Biton, Member of Parliament and head of the Economic Committee, is fighting is the fight for the socioeconomically weak, those who have no voice. This was done in agreement with the rest of the Blue and White Party. And in fact, the point is not to bring the coalition down. That's why he will not vote against the coalition in a no confidence vote or in any other critical or key legislation, but rather the issue is to really bring the minister who is responsible for transportation into some kind of a discourse about the prices of transportation in the periphery for the sake of those who are socioeconomically weak.
So today marks 1 year since the coalition came into power, but can the government really last that much longer? It seems that members in Meretz, in Ra'am, and even members of your own party are not committed to the government, and it's only consisting of 60 members right now. So how long can the government really survive?
So first of all, I'd like to re-stress that Michael Biton, member of Knesset and head of the Economic Committee, is not intent on bringing the coalition down. That's not the point, and that's not going to happen. So our party is not part and parcel of being what we call rebels to the coalition. This is totally against our belief and the fact that we wish to see as stable a coalition as is possible in these very trying and complex circumstances. There are two members of the coalition who are being I don't even know how to put it in gentle terms. Let's call them rebels, one from the Meretz party and one from the Ra'am party, each for their own reasons. And there is a problem with that in terms of maintaining the status quo and allowing the coalition to have the stability that it so needs.
Well, the committee says that they're now going to bring in legislation again to the floor. Now, this is a bill that they couldn't pass last week that was pretty critical to their survival. And it's the bill instating Israeli law for settlers living in the West Bank. Now, they're going to bring that to a vote again. Do you know when that will happen? And as well, how can the coalition even expect to pass the bill this time if they didn't garner support for it just a week ago?
So first of all, the bill will probably not be raised again this week as long as there isn't, as you say, a complete agreement with regards to its passing. I'd just like to stress that this bill is one that has been in continuum for decades long. It's relatively very logistic and very technical and has a lot to do not with the recognition of Israel's sovereignty over the West Bank, but rather very, very practical terms regarding law and order abiding in Israeli cities within the West Bank. And that's, for example, if a criminal in Israel does something against the law and runs away over and past the green line, there is no ability in terms of the law to press charges, to put him or her in jail, and so on. So it can become de facto a kind of a big prison for criminals. as a result of the lack of legislation or the re-legislation of this bill. So it's rather a very practical, on-the-ground bill than a very, let's say, pompous kind of acknowledgement of the law and order and the sovereignty of the Israeli government in that particular area. And it is a problem because it is not something that those two members of Knesset...
Parliament member Ruth Wasserman, Lande, I'm going to have to unfortunately cut you off there, but thank you so much for your insight. We look forward to having you on again.
You're very welcome.